Good evening, Birshus, and with the permission of friends old and new. Tonight we begin the sixth Mishnah of the second parak. Hillel, hu hayomer, he used to say, ein boor yirechet, a boor, a brute, an uncouth individual, a boor, B-O-O-R, cannot be fearful of sin. V'lo am haaretz chassid, and an am haaretz, as colloquially or commonly defined, an ignoramus, he can't really become a chasiid. V'lo habiשן lamed, and a person who's embarrassed and is a shy individual, he can't truly learn. V'lo הקפדן מלמד, and a person who's strict, he can't teach. V'lo כל המרבה בזכות מחכים, and not every individual who's successful and wealthy in business is actually really a wise man. ובמקום שאין אנשים, and in a place where there is no man, השתדל להיות איש. You should strive to be the man, to be the person. What's a boor? A boor is a person who's unschooled and unlearned in Torah knowledge, and he's uncivil. He's an uncouth brute. An ignoramus, an Haaretz, on the other hand, is a person who lacks Torah knowledge, but he behaves with civility. Adam nimusi. The Rabbeinu Yonah explains, habor reik, or habur reik. The pit is empty, or the uncouth individual himself is empty. An empty pit, or an empty field is a field with no seedlings, it's a field with no harvest, it's a field with no fruits, it's a barren wasteland. And since the boor is empty and the field is empty, he and the field does not have any knowledge whatsoever and cannot know what to do in any given situation. And therefore, since he doesn't know what to do according to the Torah, he can't be fearful of sin. Because if you don't know, on the one hand, what is mutar and asur, what is permissible and what is prohibited, then you can't truly have a true fear of sin. Ein boor, the Mishnah tells us. Not the boor. So what's a boor? Another interpretation is, he did learn, and he did read, but he never observed nor learned from a Talmud Chacham on a proper course. So the Gemara in Soita Daf Chav Beis says the following: Itmar, we learn, a person who's learned, but he never apprenticed a Talmud Chacham. He never observed the Talmud Chacham. He didn't understand, nor was he able to grasp the empirical actions of a Talmud Chacham and observe what that person did in their life, in their lifestyle. Rabbi Elazar says, Harei ze am haaretz. That's an am haaretz. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani says, no, I disagree. A person who doesn't do those things, he's never had an opportunity to observe and learn a true course of action. He only has book knowledge. He has no experiential knowledge. Harei ze boor. That's a boor. Now, note what the Mishnah says. It says, ein boor yirechet. He can't know fear of sin. So what really is fear of sin? I mean, we talk about a person who's yorei shamayim. We also talking about a person who has yiras shamayim, fear of heaven. So here we have yiras chet, fear of sin, as opposed, or juxtaposed, let me say, to yiras shamayim. So what's the distinction between the two? Yiras chet, let me tell you, is not yiras shamayim. Yiras chet is a person who he fears punishment. The retribution that comes as a result of committing an iniquitous act. That's what he fears. Yiras shamayim, on the other hand, the person who has awe of reverence of God, that's a different level. And it's a higher form of a person being in fear. As the Pasuk says in Devarim, Liyiro es Hashem hanichbod v'hanoira hazeh Hashem Elokecha. On the one side, we have the definition of boor as a clownish, rude, or unmannerly person. On the other hand, we have an am ha'aretz. Now you should know, ignorance is not a virtue. No knowledge of norms or prevailing conditions will thus not permit him from sinning. He can't be fearful of sin as he doesn't know what it is. It's like the she'eni yodea lishol from the Haggadah. So what's a boor? It's the first time that we're confronted with a boor in the Torah is when the brothers sold Yosef into slavery. And they threw him where? They threw him into a pit. And the Torah tells us, V'habor reik v'yein bo mayim. And the pit was empty and there was no water. And Rashi and the Mefarshim and Chazal tell us, V'habor reik v'yein bo mayim av nechoshin v'akravim yesh bo. But there were snakes and scorpions there. As a homily and an analogy, Irving Bunin gives a very sagacious and introspective analysis of human psychology. And he gives the following vort, which I very much loved. V'habor reik v'yein bo mayim. And the pit was empty, and there was no water. Avol nechoshim v'akravim yesh bo. But there were snakes and scorpions therein. When the mind is empty, and it's stagnant, the first thing to rush into the human brain are the worst thoughts that exist. When the mind is empty, ve'habor reik, ve'habur reik, nechoshim ve'akravim yesh bo. Snakes and scorpions fill the vacuum. Chazal tell us in Ksubas, batola mevi lidei shimon. When a person wastes his time, it brings about boredom. Vishiamum, and boredom, when there's nothing to fill a person's time, mevi lidei chet, it brings a person to sin. V'habor reik v'yein bo mayim. V'habur reik v'yein bo mayim. When the boor, who is empty and is not have any water, and the water becomes stagnant and putrid, and what comes to fill it? The worst microbes and diseases that exist. Now, the Mishnah continues and says, Velo am ha'aretz chassid. And the am ha'aretz, the ignoramus, can't become a chassid. A chassid means a pious individual. It's a person who goes above and beyond the letter of the law, lifnim mishur sadin. He always strives to do more. But if he's an ignoramus, if you're an am ha'aretz, you can't even get to do what the letter of the law is because you don't even know. So you can't be a chassid if you lack Torah knowledge. Chazal teach us, if a person is afflicted with great pain, he should scrutinize his behavior to determine whether his behavior is good or bad. Should his investigation reveal no flaws, Lu Yitzuya, who would imagine? He should deem the cause as a result of Torah neglect, the Gemara in Brachos tells us. Meaning he didn't learn enough Torah. Meaning, I'm really a good guy, but I didn't learn enough Torah. And maybe that's the cause of my afflictions and tribulations in the world. But when he checked himself, did he not investigate neglect of Torah too? Why is Torah learning singled out by the Gemara? So Rabbi Baruch Epstein, the author of the Baruch She'amar and the Torah Tamima, he says, does this mean that all his actions are praiseworthy? No. Because he has not learned sufficient Torah, and thus he doesn't even know what proper behavior is. So you can't have one without the other. If you don't have Torah knowledge, then your actions and your behavior in and of themselves are deemed improper. Let's return again to the am ha'aretz. And Haaretz, as we generally define, is a person who knows how to conduct himself in a mannerly manner. He is simply unschooled and unlearned with book or Torah knowledge. He's a businessman. And what is a businessman? A businessman is a person, she'ena oisa Torah kavea. He doesn't make Torah his main goal in life. That what is his desire? His desire is to work with the manner in which things work in this world. It's the phone again. Another Mishnah, in Avos, and we'll discuss that at a later period of time, says, what is an Haaretz? A person who says, Shali Shalcha. What's mine is yours, V'shalcha Shali. And what's yours is mine. That's an Haaretz. The Mishnah continues, V'lo habiשן lomed. And the person who's embarrassed can't learn. One who is bashful will not learn. One who is afraid of the Socratic method, who's afraid of their ideas, and who's afraid to ask questions, and who's afraid to be challenged, who's afraid to be shown that he is wrong, he'll never know, he'll never learn. He'll remain and stuck in a stagnant place. And an embarrassed and a shy individual can't learn. But doesn't it say in other places, in Avos, in Pirkei Avot, uboshas panim legan Eden, and a person who's bashful, a bashful countenance, he goes to Gan Eden, to the Garden of Eden. You see, there's a distinction between boshas panim and baishon. A baishon is a person who's embarrassed and shy, and a boshas panim is a person who is humble. They're not the same individuals. A baishon is too stupid to ask questions. Velo הקפדן מלמד, Hillel continues. If a teacher manifests anger without patience to students won't ask questions. They'll be afraid. It's the angry teacher who is responsible for lo habiשן lomed. The angry teacher is the responsible party for the student who won't ask questions. So right after the Mishnah tells us, v'habiשן lo lomad, v'lo habiשן lomad, and a person who's shy won't ask questions, the reason why he's shy is because he's confronted with an angry teacher. Harav shalomed, it says in Hilchos Talmud Torah in the Rambam. The Rambam in Hilchos Talmud Torah says the following. Harav shalomed, shalimed, v'lo hevinu ha-talmidim, and his talmidim don't understand. Lo yichas aleim, he shouldn't get angry at them. V'yirgas, and be spiteful with them. Ela chuzer v'shoyne hadavar, he should return and repeat the subject. Afilu kama fa'amim, even many times. Ad sheyavinu omek ha'alacha, until they understand the depth of the halacha. But the Gemara in Brachos comes to teach us a very fascinating tale and what it means to teach. The Gemara in Brachos Daf Samach Gimel says the following: V'diber Hashem el Moshe ponim el ponim, and God spoke to Moshe face to face. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak says, Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeMoshe. God said to Moshe, Kishem she'ani hisbarti lecha, just like I showed you and explained to you, I gave you a svara to your face in explanation of the Torah. Kach ata hesbir panim leYisrael. So should you explain the many facets of the Torah to Klal Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Abuhu. Rabbi Abuhu says, Amar la HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeMoshe. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe, Achshav ye'omer harav kois. Now they will say that the rabbi is getting angry. V'gam ata mara lahem kas. And you are showing them an angry countenance. Why? Because they cavorted with an egel azov, and because you smashed the luchos when you saw them committing this grave sin. if the rabbi, the teacher, is showing an angry countenance, Yisrael matehei aleim, Yisrael, Klal Yisrael, what is it going to be? Avata machzilim koimoi, mutav v'imlav. It's not such a good thing. Because if you do so, and you continue to be angry with them and be angered by their actions, Yehoshua ben Nun mishares tachtecha. I will give it over to Yehoshua ben Nun in order to lead Klal Yisrael. Notice the terminology of the Gemara. The Gemara says, Keshem shani isbalti lechaponim, kach ato hasber ponim liYisrael. Just like I showed you, and I translated the Gemara differently than what is generally understood to be the translation. Keshem shani isbalti lechaponim, just like I explained to you the Gemara, the Torah, God says to Moshe, kach ato hasber ponim liYisrael. So should you interpret and give svara to Klal Yisrael. That's not the general interpretation. The general interpretation is just like kachat hasber panim liYisrael, just like I explained the Torah to you, is not that. Just as I showed you a good countenance, so you should show them a good countenance. Ve'ani omer, and I say, and I would like to suggest that this is a throwback to what Shammai said in the first parak. Having mikabel kol ha'odem b'sever panim yafes. And you should accept every single individual b'sever panim yafes, with a cheery and cheerful countenance. One moment. Excuse the interruption. Let's continue. The end of the Mishnah has two very interesting phrases. One, v'lo kol amarve b'schor hamachkim. And not every single individual who's successful in business is a wise individual. Hamevin yavin. That's all I'll have to say. I'll move to the last phrase of the Mishnah. B'makom she'ein anoshim, in a place where there are no men, ishtadel yozish, you should strive to be that individual. We're going to read on Shavuos the book of Ruth, Megillas Rus. In an opening gambit, the Navi, the Megillah tells us as follows: Vayelech ish mibeis lechem Yehuda. And a man came from Beis Lechem Yehuda. Why was it mentioning that a man came? And in the next person it says, V'shem ha'ish Elimelech. And the man's name was Elimelech. And where did he go? He went to Chutz La'aretz. He went to the land of Moab. And why is the first pasuk absent or omit his name? Because Ish denotes a very great individual. And it was his obligation as the great individual and a leader of Klal Yisrael to remain in Israel. But he abandoned Israel in his hour of need. And thus, in the third pasuk, Vayamos Elimelech ish Naomi. And Elimelech died, the husband of Naomi. He was no longer to be known as a leader of Klal Yisrael. He was no longer going to be known as a person in his own right. Rather, all of his past accomplishments as an ish, as a man of value, as a leader in Klal Yisrael, will now be known only in the name of his wife. All that we remember about Elimelech was that he was the husband of Naomi, who abandoned Klal Yisrael. But in this vacuum that is created by this lack of leadership, simultaneously is born and rushes in another leader. And thus when the Torah introduces Boaz, it defines his character. Ish Gibor Chayil. He was a strong individual, a man of war. Ushmo Boaz. And his name was Boaz. Be the man. Seize the moment. Don't abandon your community. Stick around. B'mokum she'ein anoshim, in a place where there are no people, hishtadel liyos ish. Strive to be